As the adrenaline coursed through our veins and our hearts pounded out of our chests, we knew we only had one option left, and that was to run. Last month I took a trip with my boyfriend's family to Colorado, and we went on numerous hikes. One specific hike actually became very memorable when we came in contact with a moose and her baby. This was a very beautiful experience as well as very fearful. There are two reasons I want to share this story with you today. The first is because you don't usually hear about stories about people being chased down the mountain by a moose, and I also want to educate you on what to do if you were to go on a hike and you encountered a moose as well. Learning what to do in case of a moose attack or encounter is very important and can save your life one day. First, I'm going to start off with the story of how we both got to the point where the moose was chasing us down the mountain. One beautiful afternoon, we decided to go on a hike in Vail, Colorado. And we realized that we were in the Montane ecosystem, and in the Nature and Science section from the National Park Service, last updated in 2014, the section on montane ecosystems defines them as spacious areas covered with slopes and ponderosa pines. In this area, there are also a lot of aspen trees as well. Aspens, a quick fact about aspens is that if you were to be stranded in the forest and had no sunscreen, you could wipe on the bark, and the powder actually is an SPF 5. You could rub it on your skin, and that would protect you from the sun. Now, we realized going while on this hike that this was not a hike for amateurs. This was more of a well-experienced hike because the terrain was very rocky and it was very, very steep. But eventually we made it up to the lake where we decided to take a breath and enjoy the view for a while we sat on a log. And then that is when we saw the moose and her baby emerge from the tree line. We were in awe of just how big they were. According to the description section of the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, last updated in 2014, they explain that a female moose can weigh up to 750 pounds and can stand over 6 feet tall. Now that may not sound big when we're talking about it, but standing face to face with a moose, it's actually very, very tall and frightening. Now, when we first saw the moose, she was on the side, as in this picture shown right here, and she began to swim across the lake with her baby. And so, as she started to swim across, she eventually came to the other side, but then when we locked eyes with her, she realized that we were a danger, and she proceeded to come to our side of the lake. We knew we started to get scared, so we knew that was a dangerous thing. So we made our way to the trailhead, but before we knew, we were already locked eyes with her and face to face with this moose. The mother had a hatred in her eyes that I could feel through my entire body. We first hid behind a tree to see if she would go away, but that didn't work. We then made ourselves small and took slow steps backwards to prevent threatening her, but before we knew it, she had already taken a step toward us, and we had only one option left, and that was to run. We ran down the mountain as fast as we could, jumping over rocks and trying to keep our balance as well as we could. At one point, we looked back and saw the moose standing with her baby 50 yards away from us. That terrified us even more. By this point, we were so terrified that as we ran and romped down the mountain. All I kept telling myself this entire time was to keep running no matter what, to keep running even if I was tired, to keep running even if I was scared, to keep running even if we thought we heard something, and most importantly, to keep running even if we saw her again. Now, we eventually got down to the sort of bottom of the trail where the more populated areas were, and we felt like we had run 20 miles because we were so tired. And that is how we escaped and ran away from a moose. Now I will move on to my next point about how to protect yourself if you come into a situation with running into a moose while hiking. It's very important to know that moose are very protective and are very dangerous animals. According to the Traveling in Moose Country section, just last updated in 2014, it explains that you should never approach a moose, especially one with calves, and that it is important to give them a lot of room. This you can learn from my example because we should have known that as soon as we saw the moose and the baby, we should have taken a picture and moved along. But we didn't know. Something else that the site also said was that you should hide behind a tree if you feel like you are being attacked, if you feel like there's going to be an attack, or if you have the chance to run. And we did both of those things. And I'm glad that we did because that let us be alive today so that I can tell people how to avoid attacks in future hikes from moose. In conclusion, I learned that fear is a very, very powerful thing. Fear is what propelled me down the mountain and kept me going with every step, even though my legs were cringing. Learning all this information is vital, and it can save your life, as well as your families, your friends, and other future family members, that way in case they were to come across a moose in future hikes, they will live just like I did. Moose are 750 pounds, they're huge animals, they're 6 feet tall, and it is very important to stay away from them, to give them their distance, and to be polite. I hope this information can save your life one day in future hikes, and please always remember to keep a safe distance and enjoy the wildlife. Please tell me that recording.
Oh my gosh, that was just